The city never slept, but it was never quiet. Neon lights burned the night sky, and drones moved like insects above broken streets. In this future world, humans ruled everything. Other races were called monsters. Orcs, giants, and aliens were hunted for money. He was known as Kade. Kade was a human mercenary. Calm, silent, deadly. If someone paid him, the job was finished. No questions, no mercy. That night, a message appeared on his wrist screen. Target, giant orc. Status, extremely dangerous. Reward, enough credits to retire forever. Kade stopped walking. A giant orc was not a normal target. Giant orcs were rare. Most were already dead. Humans said they were savage beasts who killed without reason. Killing one would make Kade a legend. The message continued. She's hiding in the dead zone. Chains confirmed. Kill on sight. Kade accepted the contract. The dead zone was a ruined land outside the city. Old war machines lay broken like bones. The air smelled of rust and ash. Even soldiers avoided this place. Kade moved quietly, his rifle ready. His scanner showed a large heat signal ahead. She must be close, he thought. Then he saw her. She was huge, taller than any human building around her. Green skin, strong arms, heavy muscles. A giant orc, just like the files said. But something was wrong. She was chained. Thick metal chains were wrapped around her arms and legs, fixed deep into the ground. Her body was covered in wounds. Some were fresh. Some were old. Blood dried on her skin. She was not attacking. She was not roaring. She was sitting on her knees, her head lowered. Kade raised his rifle. One shot was enough. One pull of the trigger. This was the job. As he stepped closer, the ground shook under her weight. Slowly, the orc lifted her head. Their eyes met. Kade froze. Her eyes were not wild. They were not full of hate. They were tired and afraid. For the first time in years, Kade's finger did not move. The orc looked at him and spoke in a deep, weak voice. Are you here to finish it? Kade said nothing. She laughed softly, but it was not a cruel laugh. It was broken. They always send humans, she said. It is easier when you do not see us as people. People. That word hit Kade harder than any weapon. You killed human villages, Kade said, his voice cold. That is what the reports say. The orc slowly shook her head. No, she replied. He protected Mina. Kade's eyes moved to her chains. They were not hunting chains. They were prison chains. Humans came first, she continued. They burned our homes. They took our children. I fought back. She lowered her head again. And now I am called a monster. Kade remembered something. A burning house. Screams. His own family, long ago, killed in a human war. He tightened his grip on the rifle. Why are you not fighting? He asked. She lifted her arms slightly. The chains pulled her down. I cannot, she said. And even if I could, I am tired of killing. Silence filled the ruined land. Kade's scanner beeped. Warning. Human squad approaching. Backup was coming. Soldiers. Witnesses. The orc looked up again, fear clear in her eyes. They will torture me before they kill me, she said quietly. If you're going to do it fast. Kade looked at her chains. He looked at his weapon. He looked at her eyes one more time. In those eyes, he did not see a beast. He saw a prisoner. Kade lowered his rifle. For the first time in his life, he broke a contract. And in that moment, everything changed. Kade did not move. He kept his eyes on the giant orc, whose chains rattled softly in the wind. Around them, the dead zone was silent. The only sound was the soft dripping of water from broken pipes and the distant hum of human drones searching for targets. The orc slowly stood. She was taller than any building in the ruined zone. Muscles rippled under her green skin, and her scars told a story of battles long forgotten. But Kade noticed something else. Her hand shook. Fear, not anger. You spared me, she whispered, voice low and almost trembling. Why? Kade did not answer. He had no simple answer. Years of killing, following contracts, never letting emotions in, none of that prepared him for this. And now, staring at her eyes, he realized something. She was telling the truth. You humans, you call me a monster, the orc said, stepping slowly closer. But I did not start the war. Humans did. Kade raised an eyebrow. Explain. She sighed. a sound heavier than the ruined sky above. Many years ago, humans invaded our lands. They burned villages, took children, and they said it was for survival. They said we were dangerous, monsters who must die. But we never hurt humans unless we had to defend ourselves. Kade remembered the files, the reports he had read before taking the contract. Every report called her a killer, a threat, a giant monster. Every detail carefully edited, every truth hidden. Propaganda. Lies. You fight back. Kade asked, still cautious. Yes, she said. Her voice rose a little, trembling with emotion. But only to protect my people. I protected the children, the weak. I never killed humans unless they attacked first. Yet here I am, chained, labeled a monster. Kade lowered his rifle slowly. The more she spoke, the more he felt a weight pressing on his chest. A truth he could not ignore. Humans had done the same to others, and they called it justice. And now, for the first time, Kade wondered, what if humans were the real monsters? Before he could speak, the soft sound of boots on broken metal reached them. His scanner beeped frantically. Human soldiers. Backup. They were coming fast, their voices harsh and sharp. You must leave, Kade said to her, urgency in his voice. They are coming. The orc hesitated, looking at the soldiers in the distance. I cannot fight them all, she said. Her voice was quiet, almost childlike now. Kade made a decision. His life, his career, his reputation, all of it could end. But he could not let them capture her. Not after hearing the truth. Then we run, Kade said. And before she could protest, he grabbed a cutting tool from his belt and started cutting the chains one by one. Sparks flew, and the chains fell to the ground with heavy, clanging sounds. The orc flexed her arms carefully. Freedom. She tested her legs. She was still strong, still dangerous, but no longer trapped. She looked at Kade with an unreadable expression. Fear, gratitude, and something else he could not identify. The human soldiers shouted in the distance, their drones flying closer. Move! Kade shouted. We have to hide. They ran together through the ruins. The orc moved with surprising speed for her size, her long strides carrying them past fallen buildings and broken vehicles. Kade followed, his mind racing. As they ran, she spoke again. You humans, you are different. You could have killed me. You chose not to. Why? Kade did not answer at first. His mind replayed the faces of humans he had killed, the contracts he had completed, the innocent lives lost in wars humans called necessary. I guess, he said finally, I saw something in your eyes. Something I have not seen in a long time, humanity. Not the kind humans preach about, the kind we are supposed to have inside. The orc nodded slowly. I see. Perhaps we are not so different after all. For a moment, the wind blew between them, and the ruined land seemed less dead, less quiet. But Kade knew this peace was fragile. The soldiers were closing in. Any wrong move, and they would be surrounded. Then she whispered, almost to herself, if only more humans could see the truth. Kade did not respond. He only moved, scanning the area for hiding spots, planning their escape. But deep inside, he knew something had shifted. For the first time, he was not just a mercenary following orders. He was someone who could choose. Someone who could defy the world he had always obeyed. And in that moment, the true story of the giant monster began to unfold. The orc was not a killer. She was a survivor. And Kade, he was no longer a hunter. Kade and the giant orc ran through the ruins, their breaths heavy in the cold night air. Behind them, the sounds of human soldiers grew louder. Shouts, footsteps, and the metallic whir of drones filled the dead zone. Every second mattered. Every wrong move could mean death. The orc glanced at Kade. They are close, she said, her voice calm but serious. You cannot fight all of them. Kade did not answer. He already knew the truth. He would fight. Not because he wanted glory or credits, because he could not let the humans capture her. Not after learning what she had suffered. Not after seeing the truth in her eyes. The first group of soldiers appeared over a fallen wall. Kade froze for a moment, then acted. With precise movements, he raised his rifle and fired a warning shot. Sparks erupted near their feet. The humans stumbled, shocked. This way, Kade shouted, grabbing the orc's hand. She was surprisingly fast for her size, and together they ran deeper into the ruined buildings. The orc moved like a shadow, her massive body quiet and controlled. Kade followed, scanning constantly. He noticed the fear in the soldiers' eyes when they saw her. Yet they still fired without hesitation. Human soldiers feared monsters, but they feared even more the law if they failed a mission. They ducked behind the shell of a burned-out vehicle. Kade whispered, "We cannot stay here. Too many of them. I have an idea." The orc tilted her head. "What idea?" Kade looked around. Old buildings, collapsed walls, and broken machinery surrounded them. He spotted a narrow tunnel, barely wide enough for a human, but not for a giant orc. "I'll lead some of them away. You go through the tunnel," he said. "I'll hold them off." The orc hesitated. "You will be outnumbered." "I will survive," Kade said. "But you must live." The orc nodded slowly. She trusted him. And at that moment, Kade realized something important. He had chosen not just to protect her, but to defy every human who ever hired him. He ran out of the cover, firing his rifle. The soldiers shouted, confused by his sudden attack. Kade moved with skill and speed, dodging blaster fire, using his environment to his advantage. One human soldier ran past, pointing at him. "He's defending her. Kill him." Kade smiled grimly. "Not today." Meanwhile, the orc slipped into the narrow tunnel. Sparks from broken wires lit her path as she moved silently, her chains long gone. She felt a strange emotion, hope. A human, the one everyone thought was a hunter, was now her protector. Back outside, Kade faced dozens of soldiers. Each one fired at him, but his training and instincts were unmatched. He ducked behind ruins, threw grenades that exploded near the enemy without harming the tunnel, and kept moving. Every shot he fired, every risk he took, shouted a message. Humans could be more than killers. Humans could choose. One soldier cornered him, gun raised. "You betray your own kind," the man yelled. Kade's eyes were cold. "No, I protect what is right." With a swift movement, he disarmed the soldier and knocked him unconscious. Around him, other soldiers hesitated, unsure what to do. Kade's defiance had shaken them. For the first time, a human was not following orders blindly. A human was making a choice based on morality, not profit. From the tunnel, the orc watched silently. She had never seen humans like this. Always the hunters, the destroyers. But Kade, he was different. He was more than just a human. He was brave, loyal, and honorable. And in that moment, the orc realized something she never believed possible. Not all humans were monsters. The sound of reinforcements grew louder. Kade knew he could not hold them forever. He gave one last glance toward the tunnel. The orc was gone but safe. Then he sprinted toward the enemy line, firing and dodging, creating chaos. The soldiers shouted, confused and frightened. Kade's defiance gave the orc time. She needed to disappear into the forbidden lands beyond the dead zone. Kade's heart pounded, but he felt alive in a way he never had before. Not because of the fight, but because he had chosen to protect, not destroy. To stand against those who called themselves righteous, when righteousness was nothing but a mask for cruelty. Finally, exhausted and bruised, Kade disappeared into the ruins, leaving soldiers shouting behind him. He had broken every rule, betrayed every contract, and defied the world he knew. And somewhere, far ahead, the giant orc ran through the shadows, free for the first time in her life. She turned her head for a brief moment, and their eyes met again. No word were needed. Gratitude, trust, and understanding passed between them. Two beings from different worlds, united by choice, courage, and honor. The night swallowed them both, but Kade knew one thing for certain. He would never go back to being just a mercenary. He had chosen a new path, a path of justice, not destruction. The galaxy had changed. One human had defied his kind, and one giant orc had been saved. The forbidden lands were silent, but dangerous. Broken mountains, dead forests, and old battlefields stretched as far as the eye could see. Kade and the giant orc moved carefully through the shadows, always alert. The night wind carried the distant sound of human patrols. Every step could be their last. The orc, whose name was Grishka, paused near a ruined bridge. Her massive form towered over Kade, yet she moved with surprising grace. "We cannot stay here long," she said, voice low. "Humans will search the dead zone until they find us." Kade nodded. "Then we need allies. Others like you. Other races they've hunted. They'll help us survive and maybe fight back." Grishka's green eyes widened. "You would trust humans to help us?" "I trust some humans," Kade said, scanning the horizon. "I've seen what courage and honor can look like, and I know there are others who feel the same." Grishka considered him. "Very well," she said. "But if they betray us, we will fight. No merci." They moved quickly, keeping to the shadows, avoiding patrols. Kade led them to an old settlement hidden in a canyon, where scattered survivors of various races hid. Elves, dwarves, and smaller orcs lived there, wary of humans. At first, the survivors were suspicious. Grishka's size alone frightened them. And Kade, a human mercenary, was not trusted at all. They whispered among themselves. "Why is he here? Why is he helping her?" Grishka stepped forward. "We are all hunted," she said. "Humans call us monsters. They killed our people. But we can survive together. And he chose to protect me." The survivors studied Kade. He stood silently, calm but resolute. Finally, one elf spoke, voice shaky but curious. You spared her life? Against your own kind?" Kade nodded. "I did. And I will help protect all of you if you want. You don't have to trust me yet, but right now, we need each other." A moment of silence followed. Then slowly, the other races nodded. They had been hunted for so long, and now a human had chosen their side. It gave them hope. For the first time in years, Kade felt something new, the power of unity. Humans had hunted them, lied about them, and destroyed their homes, but together, all races could fight for justice. Grishka looked at Kade. "If we survive this, they will never call me a monster again, and they will see humans can be more than killers." Kade allowed himself a small smile. "Then let's make them see." They spent days preparing. Kade taught them human tactics, how soldiers think, how patrols move, and how to avoid drones. Grishka trained them in strength, endurance, and combat. The survivors, once scattered and afraid, began to work as a team. In the Dead Lands, a new alliance was forming, not just of strength, but of trust. The orc, the human, and the other races became a force the humans had never expected. Yet danger was never far away. Reports of human extermination squads reached them. Patrols were growing stronger, faster, and more organized. Grishka stood on a cliff, looking at the horizon. "They will come," she said quietly. "We cannot hide forever." Kade joined her, eyes scanning the dead zone below. "Then we will fight when the time comes. Not as individuals, not as monsters, but together as equals. And we will make them regret every lie they told about us." For the first time, the survivors felt something they had never known. Hope. And hope, in a world built on fear, was the deadliest weapon of all. That night, the camp was quiet, but the tension was thick. Grishka sat by the fire, thinking of the humans who had called her a monster. Kade sat nearby, cleaning his weapon, silently planning their next move. From the shadows, scouts reported movement, small human squads approaching, testing their defenses. The final battle was near. The humans underestimated them, thinking scattered races would crumble easily. They did not know the truth. A human had already betrayed his own kind to stand for justice. Kade and Grishka exchanged a glance. No word were needed. They understood each other perfectly. Together, they would lead this alliance. Together, they would survive. And together, they would fight back. The dead zone was no longer just ruins. It was the beginning of a new force. The humans called them monsters. They called themselves survivors. The night sky grew darker, and distant lights of approaching squads flickered. Kade whispered, almost to himself, "It's coming. The humans won't wait forever." Grishka placed a massive hand on his shoulder. "Let them come," she said, her voice firm. "They will learn what it means to fight those they called monsters. And they will see that humanity can choose honor over fear." And in that moment, the Forbidden Lands felt alive, not with fear, But with the promise of a revolution, the morning sky was red with smoke. Fires burned in the distance. The final human extermination squad marched forward, machines clanking, blasters ready. They had hunted many creatures before, but this time they faced something different, something they could not predict. Kade stood on a rocky hill, overlooking the battlefield. Beside him, Grishka, the giant orc, stood tall, muscles tense, eyes sharp. Around them, elves, dwarves, smaller orcs, and even a few humans who had chosen honor over orders prepared silently. They were united. They were ready. "This is it," Kade said, voice low but firm. "We hold our ground, or we die trying. But we fight for more than survival. We fight for justice, for truth, for all those they called monsters." Grishka nodded. "And humanity. True humanity. Not the lies they tell." The first wave of human soldiers appeared, dozens at a time, moving in formation. Their leaders shouted commands, confident in their numbers and weapons. But they had not counted on strategy combined with strength. Kade signaled. Scouts darted from the shadows, distracting the soldiers. Archers fired precise shots from hidden towers. Grishka roared, charging forward, her massive fists breaking walls and machines alike. The battlefield became chaos. Humans fired blindly, panicking as creatures they thought were monsters moved with intelligence, courage, and coordination. Kade moved through the fighting, guiding his human allies, protecting weaker survivors. Every action he took demonstrated something new. Humans could fight with honor, not cruelty. They could choose to protect, not destroy. One commander, seeing Kade and Grishka leading together, shouted to his soldiers, "They are monsters. Kill them." But the soldiers hesitated. Many had seen Kade before. A human, one of their own, had chosen to protect the orc. He had betrayed them, yes, but he had done what was right. It caused doubt, fear, confusion. Grishka crushed a war machine with one strike, sending sparks flying. Behind her, elves and dwarves advanced, moving like a single, unstoppable force. The human's confidence faltered. Kade faced the human leader who had paid him to kill Grishka. They locked eyes. The leader raised his weapon. "Finish it," he shouted. Kade shook his head. "No, the time for killing monsters is over. Humanity is more than this. It can be better." The human leader fired. Kade dodged, rolled, and countered. Within moments, the leader lay defeated, unarmed and stunned. Around them, the rest of the squad began to surrender. They realized their mission was no longer simple. They had been wrong about everything. From the hill, Grishka watched Kade. Her voice was soft but heard clearly by him. "You risked everything for me, for all of us." Kade nodded. "We risked nothing for greed or fear. We risked everything for the truth, for justice, for the right thing." The battle ended with no more than a few casualties on their side. Humans retreated, defeated not by sheer force, but by honor, courage, and unity. The survivors, elves, orcs, dwarves, and humans, stood together, breathing heavily, looking at each other as equals. Grishka raised her hand, and the battlefield fell silent. "We are alive. We are free, and they will never call me a monster again." Kade stepped beside her. "It's not just you. It's all of us. Today, the galaxy saw what humans can truly be. Not hunters, not destroyers, but protectors. That is humanity." Some of the surviving humans nodded. They had learned a lesson that could not be erased. Moral courage mattered more than following orders. Grishka smiled slightly. "Do you think the galaxy will ever remember this?" Kade looked at the horizon. "It doesn't matter if they remember. What matters is that we survived, and that we chose to be better. That is enough for me." The sun rose, burning through the smoke and fire. In that moment, the dead zone no longer seemed like ruins. It felt alive, alive with hope, justice, and the promise that monsters were not born. They were made by fear and lies. And for the first time in history, humans and other races looked at each other as equals. Allies, survivors, warriors of truth. Grishka turned to Kade one last time, her voice quiet but full of respect. "You chose the harder path, and you made a difference. Never forget it." Kade nodded, watching her walk into the horizon. He knew the galaxy had changed. One human had defied his own kind. One giant orc had been saved. And together, they had shown the universe what true humanity could be. The story of monsters, hunters, and heroes would spread, not as a tale of death, but as a tale of honor. The galaxy had seen courage. The galaxy had seen choice. And the galaxy had seen that even one person can change everything.